Welcome to Crafty Chemist Designs. Today I have a great project for you. But first, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that you are alerted every time I drop a new video. On to the project. Today I am going to make this patriotic scrapbook layout that holds a lot of pictures. It is so easy and so versatile. Look, you can put 8 different pictures on this one page of the 2-page layout for a total of 16 pictures. Let's start with a piece of 12 by 12 white willow scrapbook paper. And I'm looking for, there it is, my cherry cobbler red cardstock. And I use this for the mats, and these are cut at 4 1/4 by 4 1/4. I'm showing you there with my ruler, 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, and you need 4 of those. And then we have these smaller pieces. This one is 2 1/4 by 4 1/4. And you are going to need 4 of those to go in between. You can get all of these from one piece of cardstock. So I made it really, paper efficient, I guess. Okay, there I am cutting a 4 1/4 strip, and then I'm cutting 2 4 1/4 squares from that. And then you have enough left over that you can cut one of the 2 1/4 pieces that you need. Okay, so for one strip that's 4 1/4, you can get those 3 pieces, and then we just do this again, cut it at 4 1/4, and then we are going to cut 2 4 1/4 squares. And then again, you have enough to make one 2 1/4 piece. There's not enough to make 2, but there's enough to make 1. So far we have all 4 of our mats and then 2 of the smaller pieces. And so you can get 2 more from that last piece that's left over. So I'm cutting it down at 2 1/4. And then I will cut it at 4 1/4. And you can get the last 2 pieces that you need from this strip. So now you have all of the mats that you need. I'm using this cherry cobbler because I'm trying to make it patriotic. And you have these left over, and I actually use those to cut my title out of. Okay, next you need a piece of pattern paper, and I'm using this really gorgeous blue. And those pieces are cut at 4 inches by 4 inches. And then you need, for the smaller pieces, ones that are cut 2 inches by 4 inches. And then I also put a little rectangle or square in the middle that's 2 inches by 2 inches. And I only put the pattern paper because I knew I was going to make the title out of red. So I thought it would look better this way. Okay, I already cut most of these pieces out because I actually didn't want to accidentally use the matching paper when I was making other projects, so I cut them so that I knew not to use them. But I forgot to cut a piece that was the 2 inches by 2 inches for the center. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that here. This designer series paper was from the True Blue Florals pack, and this was the December product of the month. But I love that Night of Navy print, and I thought it went really well with the cherry cobbler for my little patriotic look. Okay, now we are going to put these down. And I like to space them out onto my card base first before I glue it down. so that, when I do glue it down, I get them basically where I want, kind of positioned well, and everything, evenly spaced. If you want to put a mat in the center there, you could. It would be 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. But again, like I said, I didn't because I knew I was making the title out of the red. But if you have, different plans, go right ahead. Again, it's 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Okay, and now I'm going to stick this up in the corner at about 1/4 inch from the top and 1/4 inch from the side. There we go. And then I'm just going to go around and do it on the other 3 squares. I like to go and do the corner pieces first because I feel like you can get them spaced out a little bit better if you do the ones on the corners, and then you can fit the ones that go in the center, and evenly space those. Personally, I find that if I would have done like the left corner piece and then put the 2 1/4 inch piece there and then tried to put the next square, I would not have gotten them evenly spaced. So this is how I like to do it. Okay, and this is the last square. And while I'm putting this down, again, I'm trying to make it, about 1/4 inch, but I'm also looking at the square up on the top right and the square at the bottom left and try and, make it even with both directions. Now I am starting to place those smaller center pieces. And now, can you see how easy it is to try and center those? Whereas if you put those down before you put the corner pieces, you might not get it, so nicely spaced. And I'm always making sure that I'm keeping my card base or my scrapbook layout base, even on there. Because sometimes if it's not and you think that you're putting some of these mats down straight, you're not, because the cardstock is crooked. Okay, there we go. And then the last piece. It looks so nice already. If you did decide to cut that center square, that 2 1/4 by 2 1/4, you would put that on right now. Okay, now let's put the pattern paper. I chose a pattern that was, the all over random, so there was no direction to it. So I didn't spend any time worrying about, matching or having the pattern go the correct way. If you do have paper that is, directional, then you need to pay a little bit more attention to that. Okay, let's cut these or adhere these down. And I'm just centering them right on the mat. I love the look of it together. They're red, white, and blue. That's my nod to Patriotic Scrapbook Layout. And I really wanted to make something to celebrate America's 250th birthday. 4th of July is coming up, so I know that we will have a bunch of photos for that. But I decided for my sample, since it's not quite 4th of July, to do my Memorial Day pictures. I thought that would be great for a patriotic layout too. I kind of love how my food circle pictures came out on these. It's kind of so fun. I almost never do circle pictures like this, so I'm really happy with it. Okay, I think I've got the 4 squares done. And let's do these rectangles that are 2 inches by 4 inches. And I'm just trying to make them even all the way around. I'm taking my time, but again, I'm also eyeballing it. One great thing about this layout is that it does hold a lot of pictures. You can see I have 8 on the one side and there will be 8 on this side. I almost ran out of pictures from this day. I mean, of course I had other ones, but these are my better ones. We didn't take as many pictures as I thought. And this is actually from Memorial Day weekend, so the whole weekend. Trying to line up the last one. Okay, and then do the center. And if you did have this the center mat, the red piece down already, then obviously you're just going to put this right on top. So this one I did line up with the blue pieces that were on either side and the top and the bottom. Okay, there you have the base. Look how fun that is. Patriotic. I am going to cut these circle pieces, 8 of them, but you know, if you want, you could just cut them in squares or rectangles. Okay, let's cut the mats here, and I did cut these using basic white or white willow cardstock, and these ones are cut at 4 inches. And you need to cut 8 of them. And then I did the Night of Navy cardstock to match the Designer Series paper. And those ones are 3.5. And you only need 4 of those ones. So the white circles are 4 inches. And the blue circles, the Night of Navy, there is 3.5 inches. And again, you only need 4 of those. So you need 8 of the white circles and 4 of the blue circles. And the circles are 3.5. I'm just double checking. Now the corner pictures, those ones are all cut at 3.5 inches. And the middle pictures are cut at 3 inches. And the reason they're a little bit different is because, you had that second mat there. If you wanted these, the ones that are on the center to be a little bit smaller, go for it. You could cut the white at 3.5 and then just make the picture at 3. And you don't need the 2 mats, but I liked it this way. So I am going to get out my circle cutter and cut my circles. Remember the white is 4 inches. So you can see I've already cut some of those out for my sample. And use whatever cutter you have. This might be a good time to use your Cricut. I think you could easily get your white circles, cut on the Cricut. Use whatever circle cutter that you have. This is my system. And again, you're going to cut 8 of them. So I'm going to get out a new sheet of white willow. And I think I was able to get 6 on a sheet. And I probably could have been a little more careful in how I did this. If you make these sort of closest packed, I might have been able to get 3 on, well, no, because they're 4 inches. So that's what I was thinking. Like, I thought the only way you could get 4 inches is or 3 of 4 inches is if you hit them exactly right, touching each other, and I just didn't want to risk that. So I just worked on getting 6. Okay, I think I have one more after this. And you're free to use whatever colors that you want. Obviously, I was going for a patriotic layout, but I could see doing this for like Christmas. You could use reds and greens. Maybe I'll revisit this come Christmas time. Okay, so here are my 8 white circles. If you're doing the 2-page spread, obviously you're going to need 16 total, right? So it's 8 for just the one side. Okay, out of the Night of Navy, I'm going to cut the blue circles, and these ones are 3.5. And I'm just using some scrap pieces that I have here. And you only need 4 of these. So not quite as much. And the scrap piece, I was able to get 2 pieces. I think this one's, I'm not going to be able to get 2 pieces out of. Yeah, it's too short to do another one. So I found another piece, but then I realized that's not tall enough. So I found another scrap to get my last piece from. If you were cutting these into squares instead of the circles, I would probably do 3.5. Because remember, those patterned paper pieces are 4 inches. Okay, so let's glue these down. And you need to start with the corner pieces, because if you notice, the ones in the middle overlap the ones on the corners. And so you need to have the mats down, and you need to have your pictures on top, because the pictures and the mats from the center will kind of cover up part of the pieces on the square, the corner squares. Okay, and I am just adhering these down. Circles are hard to get adhesive on. So I kind of just I made like a plus sign, and then kind of did some diagonal pieces, diagonal strips connecting the ends of my plus signs. If I had been using my smaller tape runner, I probably would just have run it around the circle's edge. But it's hard to do, at least for me, with the bigger ATG. But we're getting down the last corner one. Okay, and now we need to cut the pictures for the corners before we can lay down those center circles. So I'm going through the pictures I had pulled out to find the ones that I want to use, because remember, the ones on the corner, the pictures on the corner are cut at they're cut at 3.5 inches, and then the ones that are in the middle are 3 inches. So I picked the ones that I knew I wanted to have bigger, cut as bigger circles. So here is, this is my son-in-law Anthony with his dog Peyton, and Peyton's brother Charles, which a friend of theirs owns, but they live nearby and they hang out together a lot. So that's cute. That was perfectly cut. Now this one, oh, look how cute Peyton is on that big block of wood. Anthony's a carpenter, so he found this really cool block of wood. So I'm just trying to center it so that I know. I want to make sure Peyton isn't cut out of it. That's one reason why I don't cut pictures into circles very often, because I feel like you lose a lot of the pictures. But I feel like I had some really good pictures for Memorial Day that I was able to cut into circles. Okay, let's do this one. This is Peyton in his little sun tent. And so I know I'm losing sort of that bottom part, but I think his little shade looks cute. They're very outdoorsy, so Peyton loves to go outside. And then this last one, I'm like, oh, am I going to be able to cut that into 4-inch or 3.5-inch circle? So I don't want to cut Anthony's face off. The only problem I don't like about cutting this one is it looks almost like Michaela's not wearing a shirt. You can see a little bit of her strap there, so that's okay. Okay, so there we've got the corner pictures, the 4 corner ones at 3.5, and so we can put those down on the white mats that we've already placed. But you need to have those the pictures on there before we do the next layer. So I'm just going to put my favorite pictures up at the top, and then the other 2, which I love still, down in the bottom. And we're going to adhere them down. I'm doing that same thing where I made kind of a plus sign and then I went around the edges and tried to connect the plus signs. Basically, that's what I was doing. Unfortunately, we weren't able to be together. So these guys are in Portland, Oregon. So these are pictures that they sent me from Memorial Day weekend. They're usually really good about sending pictures so we could see what's going on. Oh, I almost put Peyton on upside down there. I asked her for a picture of her and Anthony together, and this, she said, was the only one that she had. And I realized I didn't take a picture of myself on Memorial Day. Okay, now we are ready to put the other mats on. So first, let's put down the white circles. I just really love how this layout turned out. I kind of had this image in my head a little bit, and held on to it for a while until I found just the right time to do it. Again, I think this would be good for, any time when you have an event where there's a lot of pictures, because this layout holds so many pictures. So like Christmas, Memorial Day, 4th of July, summer vacations, usually you take a lot of pictures. And I don't really feel like it's too crowded with all of the pictures. Now see how those are like overlapping on the top and the bottom, pictures, which is what we're looking for. Okay, we can get, I think that's the last one down. And it definitely overlaps the white mats and just a tiny sliver of your pictures too. Now this one has the second mat. Now if you want to have all of your pictures a little bit bigger and cut them all at 3.5, you don't have to put the mats down, but I do think it gives a little bit of a focal point, and it separates the center ones from the corner ones, so it kind of gives like another design element there. And again, I chose the Night of Navy to match the Night of Navy Designer Series paper. These ones were cut at 3.5. So these are the same size as the pictures on the corner. And if you didn't want to do a title in the center like I did, I guess you could add a 9th picture. It's up to you. Or say you want to make a bigger title, maybe leave off actually like the one that I'm putting on right now and just make your title go all the way across the center square and the right square. I don't know. Okay, now we're doing the middle pictures and we're cutting them at 3 inches. So I'm taking my last 4 pictures that I have in my cutting system, and I'm going to cut these up. I have to change my blade out. Okay, here's Megan and Ellie at a Cubs game. They went on Memorial Day weekend. They brought Ellie, but we watched Monroe. There we go. I just cut those all the way through, I guess. Cut Megan's head off a little bit there, but I think it's fine. And this is Monroe. He's at my house here, and we are having fun outside. He's got my sunglasses on. I thought that was a cute picture. So Megan, Henry, and Ellie went to the Cubs game, and we watched Monroe. So cute. I love his cute little head there. Now, this is when they came home. Ellie having fun on her little scooter, giving her little peace sign. She's been doing that in all of her pictures lately. Isn't that cute? And then the last one, she's eating ice cream out of a baseball hat, a little helmet. It's not a real helmet, it's what the ice cream comes in, but it's a cute little helmet at the Cubs game. I'm trying to make sure I get as much of the picture as I can in it. I want to make sure I have that ice cream. So I did cut a little bit of the top of her head off, but that was on purpose. You can see the baseball field a little bit there. And now all we have to do is adhere these pictures down. And I'm getting them kind of in the order that I like. So I put like Michaela and Anthony in the corner squares, and then I put Megan and Henry and the kids in the middle squares. And the pictures at the left are mostly from our cookout on actual Memorial Day at my brother's house, although that picture of Ellie in the corner is from the Cubs game, and then the picture of Monroe in the bottom left is from when we watched him when they went to the Cubs game. Such cute pictures, and these are the memories that you want to keep. Ellie's first Cubs game. She had a good time. Unfortunately, the Cubs lost that day, though. Okay, we're done with the pictures, and now we're just doing the title. And you can see there, I did a cute little overlapping letters, Memorial Day. So I put Memorial on the left, and then Day on the right. I cut these with the leftover cherry cobbler. And I'm going to fan them out this way. And to put these on, I did go back to my tape runner. It's hard to do letters with the bigger ATG. I did outline these a little bit with a dauber and cherry cobbler ink around the edges just to give a little bit of a definition. On this side where I just have day, it's not as big of a deal, but on the memorial side where they kind of overlapped, it was nice to have that little bit darker edge to separate them. And then here I've got little fireworks bursts, and these are from the May Paper Pumpkin, the May 2026 Paper Pumpkin kit called Sparkling Celebration. So from this kit, I used the little fireworks burst. That's kind of what gave me the idea to make this kind of patriotic. You need to be a Paper Pumpkin subscriber to get those. If you don't have fireworks bursts or something, you could cut out stars. Red, white, and blue stars would be really cute there too if you wanted to keep the patriotic theme. But if you're doing a Christmas theme or whatever, these could be like gifts, wrapped gifts. If you're doing a winter themed one, you could do, snowflakes. So whatever you're doing themed, just make some cute little decorations there. There is not a huge amount of room to decorate on this one because obviously I put so many pictures on it. And I am going to pop these up using some dimensionals. And I stamped these in Night of Navy and the cherry cobbler. And you can tell that I'm using the leftover edge pieces from the dimensional packs. But here I opened up a new piece. I must have used the last of the edges. So I am using true two dimensionals on there. I thought about putting some gems or something on here, but there wasn't a great place to put them, so I just left them off. I did think about putting a sparkle in the center of each of the fireworks. Okay, there you have it. There is my completed page. And remember, if you're doing the 2-page layout, you need to do what I did, twice. So there's the finished layout. Look how cute. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the project. You can purchase any of the products I used in the video at my website, thecraftychemist.stampinup.net. I have a Facebook business page, Crafty Chemist Designs, where I go live every Sunday at 7 p.m. Central Time. I also have a Facebook VIP group called The Crafty Chemist Presents Stampin' Up, where you can share your artwork and ask questions and have a good time. You can also find me at Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Crafty Chemist Designs. My blog is periodicallycrafty.blogspot.com.